You felt it? This life doesn't fit. And deep down, you know it's not the only one. There's a version of you that's wealthier, freer, more alive. But you've been conditioned to reject it. Not because you're broken, but because your brain was wired to stay loyal to the familiar. The loop you're stuck in. It feels like you. Same thoughts, same choices, same outcome every single day. And here's the trap. Every time you focus on the past or fear the future, you're leaking energy out of the one place reality can actually change, the present moment. That's where quantum shifting begins. Because reality isn't solid. It's a signal. Everything that exists in this universe is made of matter, a wave of probabilities waiting to collapse, based on what you focus on, feel, and expect. You don't just experience reality, you generate it. And when you shift your frequency, you don't wait for change, you cause it. This isn't self-help. This is the system override they never wanted you to figure out. And once you learn it, reality changes instantly. So, let me ask you something. Have you ever looked around at your life and thought, there's no way this is all there is. There's got to be more. I can feel it. Well, guess what? You're not crazy. You're not dreaming. You're right. Because the version of your life you want, the one you can see in your mind but haven't touched yet, it's not fiction. It already exists. And the wildest part, you can shift into it. I'm serious. And no, this isn't just think positive nonsense. We're talking about actual principles rooted in quantum physics, consciousness, neuroscience, stuff people like Tesla, Einstein, Neville Goddard, and even modern researchers have been talking about for decades. But here's the thing. Once you understand how this works, once you see how to use it, your reality doesn't just change, it bends. And no, it's not luck. In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how it works. The science, the process, the proof, the steps, a real roadmap to shifting into the version of your life that's already out there, waiting on you. All right. Now, before we can talk about how to shift your reality, we need to start with what reality actually is. Because here's the truth most people miss. What you're experiencing right now, your job, your relationships, your income, even the emotions you think are just who you are, it's not reality in some fixed, absolute way. It's your version of reality. You think you're seeing reality. You're not. And it's being filtered, shaped, and even chosen by something most people never take time to understand: consciousness. Because what we call reality, it's not solid, it's not linear, and it's definitely not limited to what your senses are showing you. That's Newtonian thinking, old code, cause and effect, push and pull. Matter is fixed. Everything must be earned through effort, force, or time. But the quantum reality, it doesn't work like that. At the quantum level, everything exists as waves of probability, potential outcomes waiting to be collapsed by observation. You don't wait for the effect. You cause it by aligning with it. The world isn't made of solid matter. It's made of energy, entangled, intelligent, and responsive. Matter is just energy slowed down and observed into form. You are not a fixed physical being. You're an energetic consciousness, a fragment of the infinite field, nothing and everything at once. Time, that's an illusion. From the quantum perspective, time isn't a straight line. It's nonlinear, just a construct made possible by the body's limitations. But your consciousness exists beyond time, and that means your future isn't something you wait for. It's something you can tune into. Let's break this down. Imagine you're watching a movie through a specific pair of glasses, red-tinted lenses. Everything on the screen looks warm, kind of saturated. Now, swap those glasses for a blue pair, and suddenly the entire vibe changes. Same movie, same scenes, completely different experience. That's exactly how your consciousness is coloring reality. You're not reacting to life. You're reacting to the lens you've been wearing, often without even knowing it. But here's where it gets really interesting. That lens isn't just filtering things. It might actually be influencing the movie itself. And that's not just spiritual woo. That's quantum physics. Let me introduce you to something called the double-slit experiment. It's one of the most famous experiments in all of science, and it shattered how we think the universe works. Here's the short version. Physicists fired tiny particles through two slits toward a wall to see how they behaved. When no one was watching, by just letting them do their thing, the electrons acted like waves. They passed through both slits at once, creating an interference pattern. But the moment someone observed them, literally looked at them, they changed behavior. They stopped acting like waves and started acting like particles, like they were suddenly aware of being watched, and said, "Okay, fine. I'll pick a path." But why does that matter now? Because it means the act of observation changed the outcome, and it's proof for how reality behaved differently depending on whether a conscious observer was involved. Really let that sink in. Reality changed because it was observed, and Einstein hated this idea. He pushed back hard, saying, God does not play dice with the universe. But even he couldn't deny the results in the end. And more scientists like Bohr, Schrödinger, Heisenberg, they all came to the same conclusion. At the quantum level, consciousness matters. Now, some scientists will argue this only applies to subatomic particles and not to daily life. Fair point. But here's where things get fascinating. If our universe is built from particles that behave this way, and if the foundation of our reality is probabilistic, influenced by observation, then why wouldn't your thoughts, your attention, your expectations have some effect on what shows up in your life? Let's take it a step further. Your attention isn't passive. It's a quantum trigger. Every time you focus, you collapse a possibility into reality. That means your attention isn't just valuable. It's currency. It creates. That's why every platform, algorithm, and ad on Earth is fighting to steal it. But here's where it turns against you. Every time you spiral in fear, obsess over what's missing, or replay who you used to be, you're collapsing the same limited version of reality over and over. You're not stuck. You're selecting. And the worst part is you don't even know you're doing it. But the ones who did know, they tried to tell us. And Nikola Tesla, one of the most brilliant minds in history, once said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. This wasn't a metaphor. He wasn't being poetic. He was being precise. He didn't just invent AC power and the radio. He believed your consciousness is a transmitter, and that your thoughts and emotions are frequencies that shape what shows up in the field around you. Now, fast forward to Carl Jung, not an inventor, but a deep mind explorer. He believed your unconscious mind isn't just personal. It's connected to something collective, something bigger. And from that, he gave us synchronicity, those strange, impossible coincidences that feel too targeted to be random. You think of someone they call, you shift your mindset, and the job offer shows up, not because you forced it, because you tuned into it. Is it random, or is something being aligned? Jung didn't think it was chance. And if you've ever experienced one of those moments, neither do you. Now, throw in modern neuroscience. Your brain doesn't just record reality, it predicts it. It filters out 95% of everything around you and feeds you what it expects to see. That's why two people walk into the same room and leave with two different worlds. That's why once you start focusing on something, it starts showing up everywhere. That's not magic. That's selective perception. Your brain literally constructs your version of reality in real time. So, let's connect the dots. Quantum physics says observation changes outcomes. Psychology says perception shapes experience. Neuroscience says attention wires what we notice and respond to. And Tesla, Jung, Einstein, they weren't just speculating. They were pointing at a deeper structure of reality, one you interact with every time you think, feel, or expect. So, here's the question. If your reality is built from what you observe, focus on, and believe, what happens if you start shifting those things on purpose? Not once, not casually, but with intention, repetition, precision. That's where we're going next. Because this isn't theory anymore. You can apply it. And when you do, you don't just understand reality differently. You live in a new one. And here's how this plays out in the real world. Remember when no one in history could run a mile in under 4 minutes? It was considered impossible, physiologically unreachable, a human limit, until one man, Roger Bannister, did it in 1954. And then dozens of people broke the same record within months. Nothing changed in their training. Their lungs didn't evolve overnight, but their reality did. Someone proved it was possible, and that single act collapsed a new timeline into collective belief. That's quantum, because once the field receives new information, a new potential, it becomes available to everyone who aligns with it. It wasn't just a race. It was a demonstration of what happens when one person stops observing the old limit and chooses to observe a new one instead. So now let's get real clear on what we actually mean by quantum shifting. Because let's be honest, there's a lot of confusion around this term. Some people throw it around like it's time travel. Others think it's some kind of spiritual bypass where you meditate once and wake up rich. So let's put all that to rest. Quantum shifting is not magic. It's not fantasy. And it's definitely not about escaping this world. What it is a way to understand how your internal state, your thoughts, emotions, identity, and attention can align you with a different version of reality already exists in the field of possibilities. Let me explain. In quantum physics, there's this idea that at the smallest level, particles don't exist in one fixed place. They exist in a superposition, meaning they hold multiple potential states at the same time until one of those states is observed and becomes real. Now take that concept and zoom it out to your everyday life. What if your current reality, your job, your health, your relationships exists not in a fixed state, but in a field of possibilities? And what if the version you experience depends on what you focus on, how you feel, what you expect, and who you believe yourself to be? That's the essence of quantum shifting. It's the idea that by changing your internal state, you can begin to tune into a different external one. Just like tuning a radio to a new station. The music was always there. You just weren't dialed into it. Let's use that radio metaphor for a second because it's powerful. Imagine every possible version of your life, every job you could have, every relationship, every mindset, every outcome already exists on a different frequency. You don't have to build that new life from scratch. You just have to match the frequency of the version you want. And how do you change frequencies? Not by effort or hustle alone. You shift frequencies by changing how you think, feel, act, and identify. You might be wondering, how is this different from just thinking positive? Good question. Quantum shifting is not just about thinking better thoughts. It's about becoming the version of yourself who already inhabits the life you want. Let's bring in Neville Goddard, one of the earliest teachers of this principle, long before it had a name. he said. Change your conception of yourself, and you will automatically change the world in which you live. What he meant is this: reality doesn't respond to what you wish for. It responds to who you are being. If you want a life of abundance, but you're still identifying as someone who is struggling, worrying, and doubting, you're tuned to the wrong frequency. You can affirm abundance all day long, but the signal you're sending is lack. Quantum shifting is the process of changing your internal signal so consistently that you start tuning into a different external reality. You start making decisions from that version. You respond to challenges the way they would. You speak, walk, act, not from where you are, but from where you want to be. And over time, what happens? Your world starts to reflect the shift. Opportunities show up. People respond differently. You start living the frequency you've been tuning into. That's quantum shifting. And no, it doesn't mean everything changes overnight. But the moment you shift internally, the trajectory of your life shifts immediately. And here's something even crazier. Many of the most iconic thinkers and creators were doing this before science had the language for it. Jim Carrey wrote himself a 10 million check before he was famous. Keanu Reeves spoke of seeing his success in his mind before anyone else did. Tesla visualized entire inventions in detail before ever building them. They weren't delusional. They were aligning with a timeline and acting from it before it materialized. So don't get stuck on whether this is quantum mechanics in the strict scientific sense. Think of it as a practical framework for choosing a new reality by aligning with it mentally, emotionally, and energetically. And the best part, it's not reserved for the elite or the enlightened. You can do this, too. It's available at all times for anyone watching this right now. But now that you understand what quantum shifting is, I'm going to show you exactly how it works step by step and what science says about why it's effective. Okay, so at this point, maybe you're thinking, all right, this sounds inspiring and all, but is there actually any science to back it up? Fair question. Let's dive into that. First, let's be clear. Quantum shifting, as we're describing it, is not a scientific term. You won't find a physics textbook with a chapter titled How to Shift Timelines. But you will find something even more powerful, evidence that your thoughts, attention, and emotional state have measurable effects on your brain, your body, and potentially even the world around you. Let's talk about the quantum Zeno effect, an even more disturbing insight into how observation shapes reality. In short, if you observe something often enough, you can freeze it in place. Physicists found that by continuously measuring a quantum system, they could halt its natural evolution. Just by watching it over and over, they stopped it from changing. Now, think about what that means outside the lab. All of this points to a powerful truth: your attention isn't just a spotlight, it's a creative force. The question is, where have you been pointing it? If you've been replaying old hurts or rehearsing future fears, you've been using this incredible power to lock yourself in place. But what if you decided, right now, to aim it somewhere new? What if you started observing the reality you choose, not just the one you were handed? This is where the theory ends and your new life begins. It's time to move beyond understanding and start doing. Because you don't need more information. You need a new set of inner habits, a toolkit to consciously direct your energy and align with the version of you who is already thriving. This isn't about wishing. It's about wiring. Let's walk through how you can start, step by simple step. Before we build anything new, we have to talk about the traps that keep people stuck. It's so easy to get excited by this idea, only to fall into a few common pitfalls that can make you feel like it's not working. Let's clear those up so you can move forward with confidence. The first one is what I call the wishing well trap. This is the belief that if you just think a positive thought hard enough, a bag of money will fall from the sky. But your thoughts are just the blueprint. They don't build the house on their own. Quantum shifting isn't passive daydreaming. It's an active state of being. You have to align your actions and your emotions with the thoughts you're choosing. Think of it like this. You can have the world's best map to a hidden treasure, but if you stay on your couch, you'll never find it. Your new thoughts are the map. Your new feelings and choices are the steps you take on the journey. You don't just visualize success, you become the person who makes choices that lead to it. Then there's the microwave trap. We live in a world that promises instant everything, so we expect our inner worlds to change just as fast. When you don't see immediate external proof that your reality has shifted, it's tempting to give up and say, "See, it didn't work." But that's like planting a seed and digging it up the next day, because it hasn't become a tree yet. The most profound changes happen under the surface first. Your nervous system is recalibrating. Your brain is building new pathways. Your energy is stabilizing at a new frequency. Trust that the inner work is creating an unshakable foundation. The outer world will catch up. It has to. What was the last goal you gave up on because you didn't see results in the first week? Could it be that the seed was just beginning to sprout underground? Finally, there's the hustle trap. This is the idea that quantum shifting is a replacement for effort. It's not. It's an amplifier for it. Working hard from a state of fear, lack, and self-doubt feels like pushing a boulder uphill. It's exhausting and often leads to burnout. But when you work from an aligned identity, from a place of confidence, worthiness, and clarity, that same effort feels like flow. It's energized, focused, and powerful. You still have to show up. You still have to do the work, but you're no longer fighting yourself every step of the way. You're working with the current of your new reality, not against the tide of your old one. So, with those traps in mind, let's build your toolkit. These aren't complicated rituals. They are simple, powerful micro habits you can weave into your life starting today to make your shift real and lasting. Micro habit 1T, the future self-journal purpose, to train your brain to recognize and embody your desired reality, moving it from a distant wish to a present moment identity. How to, for just 5 minutes each morning, write a journal entry from the perspective of the you who is already living your desired life. Use the present tense. Instead of writing, "I hope to be confident," write, "I feel so grounded and clear in my decisions today." Describe how you feel, the choices you're making, and the gratitude you have for your life. Signs you're doing it right. You finish writing and feel a sense of calm, certainty, and quiet excitement, rather than a feeling of longing or desperation. The feeling is one of recognition, not wanting. Common pitfalls. Writing a list of things you want to have instead of describing the person you are. The focus should be on your state of being, not just external possessions. Tie back this practice directly interrupts the same thoughts, same choices, same outcome loop you've been stuck in. You are intentionally writing a new script for your mind to follow each day. Microhabit 2. The emotional anchor purpose. To tune your body's energetic frequency to match the elevated emotions of your future reality. Emotion is the language the quantum field understands. How to close your eyes and place a hand on your heart. Take 3 slow, deep breaths. Now, bring to mind a genuine memory of a time you felt pure joy, gratitude, or love. It could be holding a pet, laughing with a friend, or seeing a beautiful sunset. Let that feeling fill your body. Once you feel it strongly, overlay the vision of your desired life on top of that feeling. Anchor the future you want to the emotion you're feeling right now. Signs. You're doing it right. You feel a physical sensation, a warmth in your chest, a lightness in your body, or an unstoppable smile. The feeling is real and tangible, not just a mental idea. Common pitfalls. Trying to force a feeling you don't genuinely have. If you can't feel gratitude for your future, start with something simple and real from your past. The authenticity of the emotion is what matters. Tie back. This is how you stop leaking energy into fear and worry. You are consciously directing your emotional energy into the present moment to build the future you desire. Imagine you're a radio tower. Every thought is a piece of information, but the emotion is the power of the signal. A weak, staticky signal of hope doesn't travel very far, but a strong, clear, emotionally charged signal of gratitude and certainty. That signal gets received loud and clear. What's one memory, no matter how small, that can instantly connect you to a feeling of genuine joy? Keep that memory in your back pocket. It's your key to shifting your frequency at any moment. Micro habit 3, the act as if decision filter purpose to forge your new identity through action. Your choices are the chisel that sculpts your new reality. How to, throughout your day, whenever you face a choice, big or small, pause and ask yourself this one question. What would the version of me who is already wealthy, healthy, loved, successful do right now? Would they scroll on their phone, or would they read a book? Would they complain about a problem, or would they look for a solution? Then, take that small aligned action. Signs you're doing it right. The aligned choice often feels a little scary, but also deeply empowering. It feels like you're stepping into a bigger version of yourself. Common pitfalls. Trying to make huge, dramatic changes all at once. This isn't about quitting your job tomorrow. It's about the 100 tiny decisions you make every day. How you speak, what you eat, how you spend your time. Tie back. This is the practical application of the system override. You are consciously choosing to act from your future self, overriding the brain's default programming to stay loyal to the familiar. For example, someone shifting into an identity of financial abundance might not buy a luxury car tomorrow. Instead, they might start by creating a budget, tracking their expenses with respect, and investing a small amount of money. They are acting like someone who values and manages their resources well, long before those resources multiply. Micro habit 4a, the evidence log purpose. To train your brain to see proof that your shift is working. What you focus on expands, and this habit focuses your attention on positive reinforcement. How to, at the end of each day, take 2 minutes to write down one piece of evidence that your new reality is starting to emerge. It could be a synchronicity, a thinking of someone, and they text you, an unexpected compliment, a moment where you responded with calm instead of anxiety, or finding a perfect parking spot. No piece of evidence is too small. Signs you're doing it right. You start to feel a sense of wonder and playfulness. You begin looking for and expecting these little winks from the universe. Common pitfalls: dismissing small signs as mere coincidence. The point isn't to scientifically prove anything, it's to build a feedback loop of belief and confirmation within your own mind. Tie back. This practice is the answer to feeling that there's got to be more. You are actively collecting the data that proves you're right, showing yourself that the reality you can feel is beginning to manifest in the world you can see. So now you have the tools. You're practicing. But how do you know it's really working, especially in those early days when the big, external changes haven't shown up yet? Let's talk about the signs, because they're often not what people expect. The first sign is almost always internal. Before your bank account changes, before the new relationship appears, you will feel different. You'll notice a quiet sense of calm where there used to be anxiety. You'll find yourself responding to old triggers with a newfound patience. This inner peace is not a small thing. It's the foundation. It's the signal stabilizing. Then, something interesting often happens. Life might test you. Just as you commit to your new identity of abundance, you might get an unexpected bill. Just as you decide you are worthy of love, an old ex might reappear. This isn't a sign that you've failed. It's a final exam from your old reality. It's asking, are you sure? Are you really this new person? When this happens, your job is to respond from your new identity, not react from your old one. This is how you lock in the change. Have you ever noticed this pattern? Just when you make a powerful new decision, a challenge seems to pop up out of nowhere. After that, the fun begins. You'll start noticing the synchronicities we talked about in the evidence log. The right person calls at the right time. You overhear a conversation that gives you the exact answer you needed. You see repeating numbers or symbols that feel meaningful to you. This is the universe showing you that you're in flow. You're tuned in, your perception has shifted, and now you're noticing the patterns and connections that were there all along, just waiting for you to be on the right frequency. The external shift often lags behind the internal one. That's okay. Be patient with yourself and with the process. You are turning a massive ship. You won't feel the change in direction instantly, but the rudder has shifted, and your destination is now inevitable. Trust the internal signals, and the external world will have no choice but to follow. The payoff, if you remember nothing else, remember this. Reality doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to who you are being. The universe isn't a cosmic vending machine you put wishes into. It's a mirror reflecting your own identity back to you. The core principle of this entire process is that your inner state of being, your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs, is the creative force that shapes your external world. You don't get what you chase, you get what you are. So, for the next 7 days, I invite you to try a simple 2-minute practice. Call it the identity lock-in. Each morning, before you look at your phone, spend 1 minute on the emotional anchor micro habit, feeling genuine gratitude. Then, spend the second minute asking the act-if question. Who am I choosing to be today? And what is one small choice that reflects that? This tiny practice combines emotion and intention, setting the trajectory for your entire day. It's not about changing your whole life overnight. It's about changing the next 24 hours. Do that every day, and your life will change itself.